What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Duty's Daggers. I have a really fun video planned for you guys today. I think you're really going to like it. First of all, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do it. You know, why not? Follow me on Instagram too, Duties_Daggers. So today's video was inspired by trying to find a budget alternative to a few knives that I carry regularly. So let's get right into it. I have I have 5 sets of knives here, 5 pairs of knives that are very, very similar in a lot of ways. One is going to be on the more expensive side, one is going to be on the more inexpensive side. That way, you know, if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on a knife, either you can't or you don't want to for whatever reason. These are really, really good budget alternatives. You don't need to spend the big bucks to get a really, really good cutting tool. So let's get into the first one. Spyderco Shaman and Civivi Praxis. 2 very similar knives. The Shaman here is around 250 bucks. This is the 15V version, but it comes in a variety of options. And the Civivi Praxis, a very excellent work knife, and they go for around 40 bucks, 45 bucks. So, 2 ends of the spectrum, 2 very similar knives. Let's go over them really quickly and then we'll move on to the next one. So we got similar size, very similar kind of broader drop point style blades, similar blade shape. They both have nice choke up spots, so you can get nice and tight and close to that edge. One's a flipper, one's a whole deployment. Praxis here is really a great work knife. This was my first Civivi actually, and I keep it around because it's such a good knife, man. There's now a mini version as well. Now let's look at the blade stocks, because this is really the primary difference is the blade stock. The Shaman here, much thicker blade stock. Praxis, much thinner blade stock. So this is actually going to be much slicier than the Shaman. Now the Shaman can still slice, absolutely, but the Praxis is going to be even better with that. So in the hand, they feel really similar, honestly. We have a little bit more of a roomy finger choil on the Shaman. This is really just an enlarged sharpening choil that you can put your finger in, but still you can choke up on both of these. They both feel great. The blade steel here is 9CR18 MOV and the 15V on the Shaman. So that is the largest difference is the blade steel, and that's really a lot of what you're paying up for is the quality of the blade steel. So there you go. First one, Shaman versus Praxis. Let's get to the next one. This one's kind of cool. First one, another Spyderco Native 5, and its budget counterpart, the Kuby Ku074. Look at that. Very similar in size. Now, you might not think they look totally similar from the outside, but let's open these blades up. The Native 5 here is a backlock. This is the salt version, so this is a completely rust-proof knife. Blade steel is LC200N, a blade steel that cannot rust. I've put a titanium deep carry pocket clip on mine, but it comes with a regular Spyderco clip. Great choke up spot. This is, I think, one of Spyderco's best kind of mid-range EDC knives. It's just really good at just about everything. Now the Kuby Ku074, also a whole deployment. Check it out. You can see the similarities. Very similar size, very similar usable cutting edge. Both have choke-up spots. Now, this doesn't come with this good of a choke-up spot. I actually enlarged this area with my Dremel. So when you get it from Kuby, it's going to have a sharpening choil, but it's going to be a bit smaller. So I've enlarged mine to be able to choke up on it. You can do that too with yours. It's pretty easy. So both whole deployments. Now the blade shape really is kind of what drew me into this one. The Ku074 here really has kind of a leaf-shaped blade, very much like a Spyderco, you know? I kind of think of the Ku074 as almost like a budget little Spyderco. Now, I gotta say, once again, the budget option here is going to be slicier than the more expensive version. This thing gets very thin at the edge. Look how fine the tip is as well. Very, very small pointy tip. This is a great utility cutter. I just did a cut test video with this too, so you can go see it in action if you want. It's a liner lock. Now you can thumb flick this thing, reverse flick this thing really well. It's got a very nice crisp detent, so it just snaps out really, really well. Such a good knife, and this is about, I think, 35, 40, anywhere from 35 to 45 bucks. Wow, this one is around 130, I think. All these knives will be listed down below, so you can go take a look at them and check out the prices. So there you go. Both very good knives. I love this Kois. I actually did this dark stone wash on it myself. Put an edge on it. I actually carry this thing. It is just really nice, man. Obviously, I carry the Native 5 all the time as well. There you go. Let's get to the next one. Alright, this one might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think they're actually more similar than I initially thought. So, the more expensive version of the knife, one of my favorite knives of all time, the Sharp by Design Mini Tempest. Now, you're probably thinking, what on earth could compare to this? And it's tough. It is tough to find something to compare to this knife because, in my mind, this is so close to a perfect knife. In fact, it may be a perfect knife. Ergo's amazing. Just beautiful hand satin finish on the blade. Beautiful inlay, carbon fiber inlay. You know, it's just it's a Brian Nadeau design, so it's it's going to be just designed perfectly. It's a reverse flicker and front flipper. One of the best front flippers I've ever tried. Love that knife. Absolutely love it. Now, its more affordable counterpart, the Kuby Royal. Check this thing out. Let me close this. See the comparisons? Both have front flippers. Both have reverse flicking options. Kind of a similar size. The Royal's a little bit smaller. Kind of more skinny handles. Let's open these blades up. Not super similar blades, but you guys can see the comparison. The Kuby Royal. This is a very affordable knife. It's a Colin Mason Pierre design. The same guy behind Devo Knives and CM Designs. I really like this Kuby. It's one of my favorites from them. You kind of got a flat spot here to choke up. Pretty neutral kind of drop point blade. Neutral handle, but comfy. Still, just like the Kois, very nice snappy detent. Kubys seem to really just be nailing their detents. Really nice snappy front flipper. Really, really good. Deep carry pocket clip. We got fine jimping that wraps around the top of this flipper tab. So it's really easy to just grip on there and just absolutely fire it out with a bunch of force. Comfortable. I had to enlarge the sharpening tool a little bit to get it a little bit larger and how I wanted it to be. But this is a great knife. There you go. That's probably the one that's most of a stretch out of all these. Let's get to the next one. All right, the more expensive one, the Spyderco Little Native Wharncliffe. And the more inexpensive option, the Cold Steel Toughlite. Super, super, super similar knives here. Very, very similar blade shapes and size. Very similar handles, similar size. Toughlite is actually slightly larger than the Little Native, but not by a whole lot. So, Little Native S30V blade steel. It's a Spyderco with the compression lock. So we got really easy one-handed use. This is a very smooth compression lock too. For being such a small light blade, it just drops, man. It freaking drops. No blade play either. Now, I think this is the better version of the Little Native. You can get it in a regular drop point as well. you know, the regular leaf-shaped Spyderco type blade. I like this a lot better. You can get your pointer finger all the way to the tip for just really precise utility cutting. This is such a good little fifth pocket carry for utility cuts, opening packages, anything really. I have a cut test video with both of these as well. Actually, I think I have cut test videos with all of these knives. They're all in a playlist, by the way, all my cut testing. You can go to the playlists, look up, you'll see cut test videos in there. You can go and look and see and find whatever you want in there. If you're thinking about buying a knife, go look and see if I have a cut test video on it. I more than likely do. And you can kind of see it in action before you buy it. So, great reverse flicker. You know, it's a small knife that feels like a big knife because you get the choke up spot. You get a full freaking grip on this thing. It feels great. That's around 150-ish. Now, the cold steel Toughlite, right around, I think it's like 25, 35 bucks. This one actually fills out your hand a little bit better, a little bit wider handle, but very similar, you know, a kind of a choke up spot and secondary little finger groove. A little bit deeper though than on the little Native, deeper grooves. Hollow grind instead of a full flat grind, but very similar blade shape that you can get your pointer finger out to the tip of. This is a great utility cutter too. And we have a back lock, or actually I guess it's a triad lock. So a little bit less easy to operate one-handed, but you can. I just choke back to this one, push it down, give it a little shake, it falls right there. Then you have to kind of reposition your hand, snap it shut. You can reverse flick this thing. You can thumb flick it as well. So, the biggest downgrade is the blade steel. Obviously, it's AUS 8A, which is not very good. But, I mean, it held an edge okay for my testing. You're just going to have to do a lot of upkeep with it, as with all these more budget alternatives. Just more upkeep. Now, another big downside is the pocket clip. It is only a tip down orientation, left and right, but only tip down. So you cannot move it to tip up, which is kind of weird, kind of unfortunate. Now, I happen to have a Toughlite Mini here as well, which is quite a bit smaller. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I actually had the Mini one first because Amazon tricked me. I thought I was getting the full size, but they sent me the Mini. And it's just too small. I mean, look how tiny that blade is. I mean, I can still pretty much get a full grip on it, which is pretty crazy. It's just not very good. I can't thumb flick this one or reverse flick it. No. So yeah, if you're going with the Toughlite, I would go with the full size one, unless you really just want a tiny little utility style knife, then that's fine. But I would definitely go with the full size. So there you go. Let's get to the last one. This is another one you're going to be surprised to see. So the more expensive version of the knife, Hinderer XM18, 3.5 inch. You're thinking, what in the hell is going to compare to this? And we'll show you. So this is one of my babies. This is my first Hinderer and my only Hinderer. I've done a lot of stuff to it. I bought this textured titanium show-side scale, which I really, really love. I bought some blue hardware, some nuts and standoffs here. I bought a Rick's Special Project filler tab there. It's a little horseshoe and the horse head in it, which I really like. This is one of my favorite knives. I recently got a regrind done on it by BGM Knives. Hit him up on Instagram if you want some regrinds done. Very much recommend his work. I mean, look at how beautiful this thing is. The action is better because it's a much lighter blade. This thing just slams out now. Oops. Just slams out, dude, especially with the thumb studs. You know, choke up spot. It's a Hinderer, but even better now. Very ergonomic. Nice and slicey now. You know, before I think it was somewhere around like 30 thousandths behind the edge. Now I think it's like 12 or 13. Vast improvement. Drop shut. Just an amazing knife, hands down, amazing. S45VN blade steel, it's a Hinderer, right? So, the budget alternative. Now, this is a lesser known knife, but it's the Kuby Ku074. I will try to link this down below. Last I checked, actually, they were gone. They had a few on Amazon recently. I'll try to link it if I can. This is an older Kuby that I haven't really seen very many people talk about at all, but I absolutely love it. So let's check it out. Now, I have added this hole. Before there was just nothing there, no thumb studs, nothing. It should have a hole. So it's a flipper only before the hole. Let's check this blade out. Look at that high polished blade, man. What the hell? I mean, it's freaking crazy, dude. This is a $45 knife right around there. And damn, look at the comparisons. Pretty similar, right? Especially this kind of choke up choil area, very similar. Similar blade lengths. This is a sheep's foot, this is a drop point, but it's, you know, similar. Similar handle profile. And check this action out, baby. Oh, just as drop shut as the Hinderer. Absolutely. Similar flipping action too, actually. And now that it has a hole, I can do the reverse flick, the thumb flick really easily. I really, really recommend this knife, man. I don't know why it's not more popular. I mean, you're getting a very high polished edge bevel, which looks amazing. For 35 bucks, incredibly smooth action. D2 blade steel. And you get this G10 handle with this kind of wave kind of pattern milled into it that just looks really cool. Now, the only major downside is the pocket clip. Number one, I'm not a big fan of how it looks, but more importantly, it's a bit of a hot spot. You can see it's kind of up higher near the spine of the handle, the back of the handle. So it does create a bit of a hot spot. It definitely gets you on this edge right here. So that's really the only downside on this knife. The choke up spot is extremely comfortable. It feels very similar to choking up on the Hinderer. Very similar, and which is a very comfortable knife to choke up on. Really comfy. You got a bit of a thumb ramp here when you're choked back. Great blade shape. You know, they get it pretty thin behind the edge too. And man, this is just such a winner, dude. It really, really is. I don't know why it's not more popular. I really can't figure it out. Maybe it kind of just flew under the radar when it was first released. Who knows? But there you go. That's the comparison there with the Hinderer. So, there you go, guys. What do you think? Which was your favorite? Which would you choose? Which knives in here do you have? Which knives do you want? We'll get a few of them out here. I don't think I can fit all of them. I like more expensive knives, and I like budget knives. In some cases, I like inexpensive knives more than expensive knives. There's a few budget knives that are absolute bangers. So I'm not, I'm kind of moving up in the knife world a little bit as far as like the caliber of knives that I buy. But man, I still have a lot of love in my heart for a really good budget knife. I mean, the one that I'm super stoked on right now is the new Wharncliffe CJRB Pyrite. That thing is absolutely unbelievable. I was trying to find kind of a more premium kind of comparison knife for that one. I didn't really have anything here that would have worked, because I wanted to put it in the video. But there you go, guys. Now, one more thing I wanted to show you really quick. Now, if you remember, you saw this being done in the members only video this weekend. But if you're not a member, I'll show you guys really quick. I cut some jimping into my McBee. Check it out. I did that shit. I did that myself with a Dremel and a small cutoff wheel. It actually turned out really freaking good. I'm pretty surprised, actually. If you look at it from a distance, you wouldn't even think that that was, home done. So now I can do this. I can front flip this baby, which is definitely the best way to deploy it. You know, I'm kind of still getting used to it. Hang on. Yeah. So before, I mean, you can flick this thing, reverse flick it. It's hit or miss though. You can slow roll it, which is probably the best way to do it. But now that you can front flip it, it's probably the most reliable way to do it. So really, really awesome. Now, if you want the McBee, but can't afford it or don't want to spend the money, why don't you get yourself a fat peepee? 2 micro knives here. I think this is way more useful because the Wharncliffe blade shape. This is kind of a pretty useless Tonto. I mean, for a small knife, you want to have a really low tip, right? So you can get down and, you know, easily open packages, do a little utility cutting, which is what I use the McBee for. This is a very useful knife. But, I mean, you kind of have a tip right here. You can kind of use that tip to cut. I actually did a cut test video with this knife, with the fat peepee. It's kind of a joke video, but I was actually a little surprised at how well it did. You kind of use this edge as almost like a chisel in your cutting. It actually works surprisingly well. So there's another little bonus comparison for you guys, the McBee and the fat peepee. There you go, folks. I love you. Please like the video before you head out. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. Adios.